Hello, my name is Trey Francis. I am a screenwriter and an actor, and welcome to my channel. They call me Trey. In this episode of Scene by Scene, we are going to be discussing Insecure Season 4, Episode 4. So if you would like, please subscribe and like this video. But let's get into this. So at the top of this episode, we see that Schoolboy Q has come on as the headliner. He's agreed to the terms or whatever, and he's cool with it. So Issa, at the beginning of this episode, remember in my last episode, I talked about a positive, negative versus a negative and a positive. So if you start off on a negative, you're gonna end up on a positive, and then vice versa. So at the beginning of this episode, we have Issa starting off on a positive. She has secured what she wanted. She's essentially secured the bag, right? Because that's going to be a good look for her block party. So then we move on and we see that Issa gets a knock at the door, and basically like her the tenants at the apartment that she's the manager over, they rush in because she ain't doing her job. So she's working on her job as far as her professional sort of stuff, but then her 9 to 5, the thing that's keeping her afloat, the thing that's paying the bills, she sort of neglected that. And so she did make the call or whatever the case may be, and the water's not working. So she tells him she's gonna get on it, and she kicks him out. And then we move on to Molly. So Molly's at home, she's at her apartment, but she's doing some work. So we see Andrew he knocks on the door, he comes in, and Andrew's ready to play. And when I mean play, I mean he's trying to play. And I'm sorry, I don't care what's on the, I don't care what, I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't care what else I got going on. If you come over looking like Andrew, let's go. What are we doing? Work, be damned. Not if you're looking like Andrew. So Andrew comes over, he's trying to play. And Molly's playing games, so much she got work. And I understand you got to do your work, but whatever. So then she says, I'll be back, but let me go do this work and then I'll be back. When she comes back, Andrew's asleep. She wakes him up real quick, and it looks like he was ready to go. So they do the do. They do the do. They don't show it this time in this episode, but they get it on. So anyways, so then we go back to Issa. Issa calls Condola because there's something wrong with the flyers, and she needs to there's a deadline that she has. So she calls her first. Condola does not pick up, which we know Condola is very much so the professional. So for Condola to not pick up, that says something. But then Issa also texts her, like, hey girl, I just called you, like, what's up? And she doesn't respond. And I don't think we get a response from Condola this whole episode. So she's just MIA. So a lot of people leaving Issa. Nathan, Condola, Lawrence. It's about to be Molly. So, I'm sorry, but, because I see a lot of people online talking about Issa, or I'm sorry, a lot of people online talking about Molly, and I'm just like, no ma'am. We always say, if you're the center of something that keeps happening to you, then you're the problem. And right now I see a lot of people putting this on Molly, and I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I think in the beginning, there was a lack of communication from both of them. And so they both equally played a part, and I think in the initial demise of their friendship. However, we've seen from a few episodes now where Issa's not showing up in the way that she should show up, especially when Molly's reaching out and is extending the olive branch, so to speak, and Issa not accepting it. So that's a little bit about my thoughts, but let's continue with this. So then next we see Molly got her job. So she's hitting it off with all the female co-workers, which we know in the last season when she transferred over to this all-black firm, there was sort of some tension with her coming in and sort of doing her thing how she had always done it, and not really sort of fitting in this smaller sort of model of a law firm, and sort of doing the same things that she used to do when she was at this big law firm, right? So it was like, we need to be a team player here. So we see she's a team player. We see that she apologized in the last episode, I believe, to Torian. She sort of healed that relationship. If not, that must have been in the second episode, if not the third. But she apologized to him, which was good. And it seems like she's doing better at work, right? They have a playfulness, and the writers were sort of trying to show this in a sense of things are going well for her professionally, but things aren't really. It's sort of showing like the opposites, right? Of her professional life being great, but then her personal life and her friendships. Her friendships with her girls outside of work isn't good, and then her friendship with her girls in work is great, right? So they're kind of showing that the disparity between the two. So then we get to where Issa and Molly, they're pulling up outside of Tiffany's place because everyone's coming over to see the baby, Lawrence included. So they get there, and Issa got there first and was going to back into the parallel parking, and then Molly gonna come up and pull up and keep her from getting the spot. Molly won. She got the spot. But again, the writers just using this to sort of show how they're not on the same page. When we see Issa with Condola, at least for the past 3 episodes, they've been very much so in sync. And so it's showing how the difference, like I said, the disparity between like Issa when she's with Condola, and how they're able to be on the same page, and then Issa when she's with Molly now, and it's just shambles, right? A lack of communication. That's really what this moment was sort of hinting at, that the issue with their friendship is a lack of communication. They're not seeing each other, right? And we see a lot of that in this episode. So Lawrence and Derek, they're upstairs, and they're having this conversation while they're looking at the baby. They're seeing the baby, and Derek is going on about like how pretty his baby is, and the conversation sort of gets brought up about how like he's afraid that the little boys, like when his daughter get older, like the little boys are gonna do the same thing, that he did to other women when he was younger. Like he's like, I know what she's in for, and I know that is a scary reality, but it's also something that I feel like you wouldn't have to worry about this if you were better. Like if you were a better man when you were younger. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be something that you have to worry about, because I never got that. Like I'm not into women in that way, but it's to me, it's a stupid way of thinking. Like just be better when you're younger, and you won't have to have like these like, the same, because it's the same thing. We always see the same discussion and everything. So it's like, okay, well, when are we learning then? Like, when are we learning? Like, who's trying to break that cycle, right? And of course, this isn't every guy, but I mean, so downstairs, the girls are talking. Basically, the conversation is between the four girls is about how your man stands up for you. So Tiffany, she was saying how when she was in the hospital, the doctors didn't believe her, and she ended up getting a blood clot, and she was in pain and stuff like this, and they weren't trying to help her. And so Derek, she's saying how like Derek stood up for her, and like how he's stepping in, he's taking care of the baby and things like this. So she likes it. And so then Molly chimes in, and she's just about how like Andrew, like while she's struggling, like Andrew's been there for her no matter what hour, no matter what time of day, Andrew's there for her. So she's, she says that, and this is a quote from her. She goes, "That's how you build a long-lasting relationship." And so then Issa jumps in. It was a joke, but she jumps in with a joke talking about Molly being Jada Pinkett all of a sudden, like for Jada Pinkett and her red table talk. And because of the situation, the circumstance of Issa and Molly's relationship, Molly doesn't take it as a joke. Molly takes it as, oh, you're being shady, because our last few encounters, let's be honest, encounters, you've sort of been shading me, and so I've been feeling some type of way about it, so that I've been sort of shading you back. You know what I mean? It's been this back and forth, so they haven't been on the same page. So again, lack of communication, right? They're not seeing each other, they're not seeing eye to eye with each other. So Molly feels some type of way about it, and Issa's like, oh, it was just a joke, and Molly's just like, okay, girl, whatever. So then, so Molly and Tiffany, they go upstairs because Derek calls them up there because the baby starts crying and like he needs help or whatever. So Molly's like, okay, I'm going to go with you. So while Molly and Tiffany are away, Issa and Kelly are downstairs, and Issa's just basically like, oh, hey, has like, Molly said something to you? Basically about their friendship. And Kelly's just like, nah, Kelly's oblivious to a lot. She's oblivious to a lot. But she's just like, no, like she hasn't said anything to me, and so they're like, oh, okay. So Oh, I forgot to mention too. Before Molly and Tiffany went upstairs, that Issa had, she was folding clothes and she didn't know where they go. She didn't know what they had, where they were supposed to go. And so she asked Tiffany, and Molly was like, "Well, if you were here last time, you would have known that we've already decided that they're gonna go over here." You know what I mean? So she threw that shade back. Like I said, they had been doing this tit for tat sort of thing. So Molly gave it back to her. She was, which is also sort of another way, because I talked about this in my last episode. Issa did not show up. She's been neglecting the friendship, if you ask me. Like I said, they both started off on equal playing fields with lacking communication. However, then I felt like Issa sort of started to slip up more because she started to focus heavily on Condola and pleasing Condola and making sure that that was going well, which is fine. You want to make sure that your work relationships are well. However, you don't want to then neglect your friendships and the people who've been here for you forever. You know what I mean? Like Issa and Molly, they have a long-standing friendship. It's like don't mess that up. You know what I mean? So then then Molly and Tiffany go upstairs, and that's when Issa and Kelly have this conversation. And so we also see when with Molly and Tiffany upstairs, the reverse conversation happens. Molly asks Tiffany if Issa has said anything to her about their friendship, and she's just like, no. You know what I mean? And so while they're upstairs, Molly looks out the window and she sees that Issa is outside with Lawrence. And Lawrence was shady and messy because he whispered, he mouthed like, oh, basically meet me outside, like catch me outside, And to Issa, instead of coming up and being like, oh, hey, can I talk to you privately? Like to me, like I'm like, why couldn't Kelly know that? So for me, he had like an ulterior motive, but Issa sneaks outside with him, which to me is messy. Because they've had one too many, to me, they've had one too many private conversations. That if you're the ex of the person that I am dating and you're still around just because I'm helping you out with something, don't be having these secret conversations. Like no one would like that. And I'm seeing people online, I saw people on Twitter earlier, acting like if it wasn't a big deal. I'm just like, and I'm one of those people where I'm just like, I'm not a jealous person. Like I allow people to do what they want to do, because to me, at the end of the day, if you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat. That has nothing to do with me, and it won't have anything to do with me because I'm gonna leave. You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about it. You go on and do what you want to do, but then have that person because I'm out of here. So I'm not jealous in that sense, but I understand. I get how someone would feel uncomfortable with you talking to their man now, and you're still in their life, and they're helping you trying to succeed with your career. Like I'm solid. Condola's solid. She's good. Issa needs Condola's help. So to me, don't be talking to her man behind her back. And separately and texting him and being on the phone call with him and him meeting up at your place and then you call. All of that is too much. All of that is too much. Like you can't be doing that. But that's just me. So then, yeah, I said that. So yeah, basically in my notes I said, this is shady. I said, why move secretly? And that's just true. So I said some of this stuff out of order, so I'm kind of skipping some of it. And basically to me, what Molly saw was them flirting, and that's what I said. I said it looked like y'all was flirting. So I understand that maybe that's not the intention, but it looks like it. And to me, Lawrence, so we go down to Lawrence and Issa talking, and they were, just shooting the shit or whatever the case may be. But then Issa gets a phone call. And during this phone call, basically, Schoolboy Q, he's dropping out. Like, we don't know what the case may be. I don't think they really tell us in this episode. But apparently, he's out of it. So screw this contract. I'm ripping this up. It's over. We done. So he's out, right? And Lawrence sees this, and when Issa gets off the phone, she's like, oh, you had something to tell me. Like, what did you want to say? And he's like, oh, no. You handle this, and then, like, hit me up later. You know what I mean? Once all this stuff is figured out. So I'm just like, again, like, why couldn't you get out what you needed to say? Like, apparently it's not just something that's like surface level. It's something more. And we didn't see what Issa texted back to him. We only saw the ellipses, like the little dots, as if she was texting him back from the last episode. We didn't see what she said when he commented on her Instagram story when she was dancing at the Mexican restaurant with her brother. We didn't see what she said back, but apparently they've been having discussions, and to me, that's a no. So, we're jumping ahead. So Issa leaves the party until we're back at Issa's place. Issa's at her place, and she's feeling the pressure of her failing friendship, right, and this miscommunication that is going on in her business imploding, right, because now she does not have her headline, and like that was like the big ticket item, like people are gonna come to see Schoolboy Q. Now we don't have, so what are we gonna do, right? So she gets on, this was hilarious to me. She gets on Instagram and she goes to Beyonce's DMs and she wrote, "Hey girl, I know you're busy, but I'm dying." And then she proceeds to talk about my final wishes. And when I saw that, I hollered. I thought that was hilarious. That was fucking hilarious. I was like, no ma'am, that's not what this is. Beyonce is not helping you out of this one. So Issa, of course, she realizes this. And so she goes to her contacts and she's just like, okay, so like, who do I know? And at first I thought she was going to Daniel, because I was just like, we know Daniel's a music producer and he's worked with different artists. So that's where my brain went when I first saw her open her phone and she was going through her contacts. So she just starts calling different people. It's not working out. It's not going in her favor. So then we go, and Molly and Andrew, they're actually at their date night. And I forgot to mention that earlier in the episode, while Molly was at Tiffany's seeing the baby, she had gotten a text from Andrew asking if they were still on for their date night. Initially, Molly said no because she was on baby duty and she still had to finish some work, right? So then we get to this and we see that, oh, okay, she must have changed her plans and she made it work. She's making it work with her man. Like, she wants to be there for him. So again, it's showing the difference between Molly and Issa. So Issa and Molly committed to something, and then Issa didn't hold up her end of the bargain. And so then Molly and Andrew, they committed to something. Molly was going to try to backpedal out of it, but then she stayed. She committed. So we're seeing that the person who is committing to things and who is keeping their promise for things is Molly, not Issa, right? So Molly and Andrew, they're on this date. They look really good together. When I tell you they're beautiful, look real good together. So they're on this date, and Molly begins to talk about this nightcap. Like, she's like, oh, we're going to go do this later. We're going to get a bottle of this. We're going to go watch this. And then we're going to have some playtime. Andrew was like, oh, well, I actually said I was going to go kick it with my boys because you told me that we weren't going to do this tonight. But I still came to dinner, but we're about to go play cards. And she was like, oh, but I thought this was date night. He was like, yeah, but I didn't know what you had going on with your work because you told me that basically you was putting work first. Let's just be honest. You were putting work first before this relationship, and so I didn't know where you stood I didn't know where I stood with us because you didn't make this a priority. You know what I mean? And so she was like, but I'm here now. And he was like, okay, still that's not enough. And so then there's kind of like a damper on the night. And remember when I told you, if you start out off high in the scene, just like for the episode, if you start off high, you're gonna go to a low. If you start off low, you're gonna go to a high. And the scene, we saw it was good, and then it went to a sour no. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind with every scene that we discuss. So, like I said, this leads to a small disagreement, and Andrew just wants to know, like, how does he doesn't know how he fits into Molly's life because she's not making space for him, right? So then the next day, we see Issa calls Molly and she's looking for a favor. Mind you, because I'm still not over Issa not showing up for pie time in the Thanksgiving episode, you need to show up. Because first of all, like, I'm a communicator and I do this with my friends. Some of them don't like it, and it's just like, okay, whatever. But I remember watching something like a long time ago, and they were asking like this elderly black couple, I believe it was, they had been married for like 57 years or what have you, and they was like, oh, what's the secret? The success to like what's the secret to success for like your relationship? And they basically said communication, and he was like, he also said, don't go to bed, like, we don't go to bed angry, you know what I mean? Like, whatever we have going on that day, if we get into it, we're gonna resolve it. And that has stuck with me. I saw that when I was like a teen, like a young, like preteen, like that has stuck with me all this time in my life. And so I'm a firm believer in communication. And Issa didn't show up for pie time. So when we talking about that, when we talk about that, and then you're gonna call me up out of the blue, out of nowhere, yeah, I saw you at Tiffany's, but even then our relationship is still strained, right? Because we haven't talked about what the fuck is going on. So how the next moment you gonna pick up your phone and dial me and try to ask me for a favor? There was zero hello girl, there was zero oh, how are you? There is zero, oh, you know what? So my bad, I missed that pie time where we were supposed to hash out everything. Let's do that now. You know what I mean? There was nothing. So I'm just like, how dare you call Molly looking for a favor, and a big one, might I add, because it's not a favor that necessarily that Molly can do for you, who is your friend. You're asking Molly to ask her man, who you told her you acting like the old Molly, you're gonna scare him away, to do you a favor. That's the Molly that you're asking to do a favor. Like, no, it don't work that way, especially when we haven't had a discussion. To me, I am still a good friend, but I am putting up, to me, that was like a boundary. And I think it's important to put up a boundary. And Molly basically said, if I can quote her, did I write it down? She basically was, oh, that's later. So she asked her about Andrew, because Andrew works at this place where musicians work or whatever it can be. And so initially Molly says, yeah, you know what? I guess, girl, like, I'm gonna look into it. Like, I'll try to ask him. So we get that. And like I said, mind you, they still haven't had an honest conversation yet about their lack of communication. So don't ask me favors until we talk. So later that night, Molly goes over to Andrew's place to talk about the other night, right? I think she brings like a drink or whatever, and they get inside to start talking, which, look, we're seeing Molly is communicating, which we were wanting this from Molly for 3 seasons. We were like, Molly, you're always, fucking things up. Like, learn how to talk to people, learn how to communicate your wants and your needs so that you can get those things, reciprocated. You can get those things in return, right? So to me, I've been seeing like exponential growth from Molly as far as like her communication skills and sort of being open and honest about what she wants, right? So she goes over, she apologizes about the other night, and like I said, which is a change for her, and she says that she wants to stay the course and figure out things out with Andrew. Andrew agrees that he also wants to work this out, and so they kiss and make up. And I wrote in my notes, I said, and then they kiss and make up, and then then we go to a new scene. But I said, I know that when, the cameras moved on, but I said they went and they put in work. So the episode closes with Molly. So then the episode closes with Molly calling Issa back, right? So Molly, she's having good times with her man, but she got out of bed, and she put Andrew to sleep, and she's on the phone with Issa, and she goes, Issa's like, oh damn, like you did that real quick, like you what's the news, what's the tea, like he gonna do this? And Molly's like, nah, like I didn't even ask him, and you know what, I'm not going to ask him anything. She's like, I want to keep, I want to, this is new for me, like I don't want to mess this up, like I want to keep my boyfriend life and my girlfriend life separate. Like, I don't want to mix the two. Like, I don't want to, you know what I mean? And to me, that was one of the smartest things that Molly could have done. Because to me, that is setting up a boundary. That is setting up a clear boundary. And for me, your friend has to respect your boundary. It's not mean that she's not doing a favor for Issa. Because she's done other favors for Issa for this block party. For the mixer, she was there, right? I'm pretty sure Molly donated money to help Issa out. She's given Issa ideas for the block party. She stayed after the mixer and she helped Issa clean up. Molly has been there for Issa, so in ways that Issa has not been there for Molly, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. So Issa asked Molly, I said that. So Issa asked Molly why, and she's just like, she's trying to do her best to keep those parts of her life separate. So, and I'm here for it. So then the closing image is Issa goes to take a shower, and she didn't hold up her end of the bargain again with her, the lack of communication is ringing a bell on Issa's, at Issa's front door. And she, her neighbors came and was like, hey girl, you need to fix this, the water ain't working. But we go the whole episode, Issa did not hold her end of the bargain again, and she did not call the people, and she didn't fix the water. So the water comes out brown and it's fucked up. And I just wanted to point out, just before I go, because that's basically the end of this review. That's the end of the episode. I thought it was well written. It was a really good episode. It was well acted. Everyone did a fantastic job. But I wanted to just say that water is playing a huge role in this series thus far. I mean, in episode 1, remember when Issa went to the restaurant and she was talking with Condola to meet up with Condola about the mixer. Issa spills water on her thing while she was trying to look nice. Then we had, I think it was in episode 3, when Lawrence goes to rinse out his glass at Condola's Thanksgiving Day party. The water backfires on him and his new shirt. Remember that? So that's another again, water, right? And so then in this one, there was no more water. But then when Issa goes and she goes to turn on the water, the brown, you've seen that when the water gets freshly turned on or freshly turned off, brown shit comes out. So the brown water comes out, and she just looks and she's just like, are you serious? So water is playing a big thing in this thing, even down to the fact that Tiffany's water finally broke and she had this baby. Because I swear Tiffany was pregnant for at the end of season 1, I feel like she was pregnant. Season 2, she was pregnant. Season 3, she was pregnant. And now she done made her... her water finally broke and she had a baby. So water is playing an important role this season. And if you know, water is very fluid. Water is very just it goes where it wants to go. Water will make its way through a rock. Water will make its way through a rock. So it's kind of letting you know that there's to me, there's this divide, and there's this divide between, of course, Issa and Molly, but then how things come and go, because water comes and it goes, right? So how things just come and go, and we heard in the first episode of this season how Issa was like, I don't fuck with Molly no more. So we're gonna see, of course, we're gonna continue to see how this all plays out. At the end of this episode, I saw Issa tweet online. She was saying how next episode is the block party. So I'm excited to see how the block party turns out for her, because apparently it's still gonna be a success. So she works some out and the block party happens. So I'm excited to see how that episode goes, and of course I will be back here for a review. So if you would like to see that, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, as I am a growing YouTuber, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.